Hi everyone, I'm Gwen and thank you for tuning in to my first cooking video. A lot of people have been requesting that I share my recipes and ideas about health and nutrition so that they can switch to a vegetarian lifestyle. So I'm going to share something really simple today, something that pretty much everyone can make and isn't very expensive, doesn't take too long to cook, and is full of great vitamins, protein, fiber, and everything we need. So what I'm going to be making today is barley soup. All the ingredients that you need I have right here. You just need a bag of barley, which this is way more than what you really need for a whole pot of soup. So a bag of barley. I bought a bag of organic peeled carrots, one large white onion, and also a large head of cabbage, green cabbage preferably. Just to talk a little bit about the health benefits that are associated with this type of meal. Onions are really good for your breathing, your digestive system, and overall health. They clean your sinuses out, so good stuff right here. Barley, if you look at the back of the bag, you have 7 grams of dietary fiber and 4 grams of protein in just a quarter cup. Barley is amazing. It fills you up. It helps your digestive system and gives you that protein that a lot of people are afraid of losing when they switch to a vegetarian diet. Cabbage, same thing, very good at cleansing out the colon, the digestive system, has a lot of vitamins, the same thing. I can talk a little bit more later while we're cooking about the specific vitamins that you get from these foods. But let's get started with what you're going to need. The only thing you really need for this dish, which makes it amazing, is a simple medium-sized pot. I choose to use stainless steel pots because they are the best for cooking and the best for your health. You don't have any Teflon or anything in there that's going to go into your food and make you feel sick. You're going to need a nice big bottle of water. I choose to use distilled water. Something like this, you don't need anything too fancy for your cooking. And a spoon. Very simple. So the first thing we're going to do is take our onion. I'm going to bring the camera down so you can see what I'm doing. Take your onion and just cut it up. I personally don't think that for what I'm going to be eating, it's just going to be me and maybe one other girl. We need to use a whole onion. If you're feeding a whole family of 4 or 5 people and you need more, please feel free to make more. But for now, I'm just going to cut up about half the onion. Peel the outside off. Just cut this like so into small pieces. It really doesn't have to be exact or specific. Onion tends to soften a lot as it cooks, so it's not going to be like you have hard to bite or chew pieces if they're too big or too small. I actually think cutting them up too small makes the soup mushy, so make it a little bit, so everybody can see, a little bit chunky. So I'm just going to put this in the little bowl I have right here and get it started. The onion is going to be the first thing that needs to go in the pot to cook. So if you want to take a look, we're just going to put a tiny bit of olive oil. Don't go overboard with it. Some people really like to go overboard with the oil. You don't need a lot to make this. So we're just going to pour a tiny bit into the pot. I'm almost out anyway, so good thing. Take your onion and pour it into the pot, like so. Turn your fire on. My fire is very temperamental. Sometimes it likes me, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, so turn your fire on, about medium temperature. Make sure your onions are nicely coated by the olive oil. I think I put maybe a teaspoon of olive oil in there. For those of you who've been cooking for a long time, you might not need to measure exactly. I never really use measuring cups or spoons. I don't do a lot of baking, so I don't find it necessary. But if you're new to stuff like this, I'll be sure to tell you exactly what you need. So for example, with barley, one thing to know is that barley expands a lot. So what looks like this much will be like 4 or 5 times this amount once it's cooked. So with barley, I would say for the size of the portion that I want to go with, I'm going to put about what would be the equivalent of probably like 3/4 of a cup or a cup of barley. Just going to open that up. I'm actually just going to measure it into the same bowl that the onions are in. This to me is more than enough to make multiple servings. Probably I can get 5 servings out of this small cup of barley once it expands. In the meantime, while I'm waiting for my onions to saute, which you should keep an eye on them, onions don't tend to burn too easily, they just get softer, so it's okay if they get overcooked a little bit, they're going to boil with the soup anyway. But just check on your onions, push them around, make sure they're getting cooked evenly. Lower your temperature down once you see they've been coated and they're starting to cook. You don't want them to overcook and be mushy, but once again, it's a soup, so it's not that big of a deal. And we're going to move on to our cabbage. It's a good idea to just take the outer layers of your cabbage off, the dirty layers, the ones that are by the ground. So just peel those outer layers off. This one's really dirty. It's an organic one, so I kind of don't mind if it's a little dirty or has a couple holes in it. Alright, so we're just going to rinse that off. Rinse that off. And the same thing with this. Definitely I don't need this whole thing. I'm going to get a new knife because this knife is not very friendly. So just, none of my knives are very friendly today. Just cut off, a decent amount of cabbage. Cut off another slice. I'm being really not too fancy with this today. Okay, so we're just gonna take like the cabbage, slice it up into shreds, and then into small pieces. I had this great cooking knife that the oven. I haven't had a chance to pull it out, or I might not be able to pull it out. So there you go. Just little rough chunks. Doesn't have to be too fancy, and you have your cabbages all chopped up. Bring it back up here. Hi, everybody. So we're just going to take this cabbage and add it to the existing onion. Drop it. So we're going to add the cabbage to the existing onion, and you're going to see that even though this is only half a cabbage and half an onion, it is very big. It makes up a lot of the pot already that we're making. So just, saute it around. It will reduce a little bit as it cooks. It's a full pot. It will reduce a little bit as it cooks, so don't worry that there won't be enough room in your pot for your soup. Just go ahead and leave it on there. It is a soup, so you don't have to cook it too much with this particular step of, sauteing and starting the heating process. This just sort of mixes the flavors really nicely with the oil, so you have that nice flavor in your soup. The next thing we're going to do is cut up our carrots. I buy the tiny carrots. I find them to be sweeter. They're easy to cut up. They don't require peeling or anything like that. And lately, they've been on sale. So the same thing, just take your carrots, cut them up into small pieces, however small or big you want. Doesn't really matter. If you like a chunkier soup, you can even just leave them whole and put them in your soup like that. These are pre-washed, pre-peeled, pre-everything, so it's really quick and easy. Just 1, 2, 3 pieces per gourd. I really love carrots, so I'm going to put a lot of carrots in my soup. They're so delicious. A million things that are healthy about them. Okay, so there we go. We have our carrots. I'm going to go ahead and put them into the bowl. Stir it around. Now, you could add any vegetables you want. Carrots and cabbage and onion are the standard ingredients for vegetable barley soup. So that's what I'm using. I also have some zucchini in the refrigerator. I was thinking about adding that. If you want more protein, you could add peas. Peas are a really good protein supplement for any kind of meal. You could throw them in your rice, you could throw them in your sautés, and it adds that extra protein that you might be lacking if you have a vegetarian or vegan diet. And that's pretty much it for the initial preparation. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some water in the bowl, in the pot, I'm sorry, and fill it up until you've covered all your vegetables, basically, all the way up to the top. It's, well, like I'm saying, the portions that you see in the video with the, you know, small barley and half a cabbage, a couple carrots, it looks like it's not much, but when it cooks, it turns into a lot. You could really feed a whole family of people with this meal that I just made for under $10. So here we go. I'm going to add the barley. Once again, it doesn't look like much, but be careful not to add too much. Or if you have a big pot and you can, you know, afford to have it expand and become a bigger pot of food, then go ahead with that. But just make sure that you know that it's going to expand. It's going to take up a lot of the water, which is part of why it's really good for the digestive system too, is that it absorbs a lot of water and helps the food travel through the body. So I'm just going to add that. Stir it up a little bit. Turn it on high heat so that the water can come to a boil with all the ingredients inside. And then I guess the next thing we could do is add a little bit of spice. Everybody has their own taste on what they want to add to their soups. Some people like it spicy. This dish I don't think is really the best as a spicy dish. I prefer to add either herbe mere or Bragg's. I don't have herbe mere right now, so we're just going to use Bragg's. Oh, here it is. Okay. So this is Bragg's liquid amino. This is my magic trick in the kitchen. It adds flavor to so many different types of dishes, whether it's a veggie stir fry or it's a soup or a salad, and it's really healthy. It's a great alternative to soy sauce, salt. It's all amino acids. It's very low in sodium and tastes delicious. So I'm gonna take just a little bit of this. Be careful not to go crazy with Bragg's if you decide to use it, because it is a strong flavor. It's a little salty. Not everybody likes it. You might want to taste it before you try it, but I love this particular brand and the products that they have, whether it's the liquid aminos or the apple cider vinegar, which is also great for you, and I'll talk about in another video. So, yep, the Bragg's right there. And basically, so now all you have to do is just wait for your soup to boil. You're gonna stir it up, keep it going. Wait for your soup to boil, and then once it starts boiling, you can just turn the temperature down to a medium or low temperature. Let it simmer and let the barley absorb the water so that it expands and becomes this soupy type of texture. And that's pretty much it. Let's see, we're gonna stop for a minute.